going on, y'all? It's J Small Reviews here, back at it again with another video, man. Bring you guys, as you would expect, my NOME 14 recap. Would love to have it up earlier, but I couldn't because I actually got to go to Orlando and watch NOME in person, as well as the battles the day before, Official versus Vixen, Twerk versus J2, a couple battles they had with the face-offs. Overall, great weekend of battle rap. Going from that to pretty much the best NOME we've had since NOME 11, if not better than that, then it'd be the best NOME since NOME 9. I'm seeing a lot of people give it 8.5s out of 10s, you know, kind of those higher scale ratings and a lot of great energy after the event. I love being there in person. I probably look a mess right now because I am a mess right now. I am fresh off the plane in the house and I'm completely exhausted. I have a finals game to watch later for my Celtics, which, you know, we're trying to hang banner 18. I'll talk about that a lot here, but that's a bigger stressor than anything, right? But I really wanted to get my thoughts out to you guys, see everybody's got their recaps up and stuff. Also, you know, I'm going to have the recap today. Be expecting Loaded Lux versus Rum Nitty bar for bar review tomorrow. And if it doesn't come out tomorrow, it's because I am in a coma, and it will come out the day after tomorrow. But so much to talk about with NOME, so much to be excited about. Card started a little bit rough with the first couple battles. We'll talk about maybe a couple reasons why, and then it's really all uphill from there. No list, you know, top 5, most impressive, most this. Just going to go battle for battle here, and of course, we'll start from the bottom of the card. In this case, the bottom of the card is actually not on the flyer because they did have a surprise battle where Franchise and Swervoo opened up NOME. And a couple people were telling me, you know, with a surprise battle, it should really be more of like a top-level name to give a real surprising effect, like, oh my god, they're here. And I really don't mind the logic in that. However, I do think that both of these battlers coming in had the momentum to get a shot like this. Swervoo, even though his battles get spaced out months in between, so I feel like overall the people kind of don't get to build up with the momentum because you only see him, it feels like, once in a while, even for a talent that's kind of like more on the up-and-coming side. I mean, he's part of UM4. He's been around long enough now, but for someone that's like building up a profile, I just find the way he's booked to be funny. But he had the core battle and the chess battle, which were both great showings, and I thought he was building up well for, you know, in a game of many punchers. I feel like Swervoo was still carving out his own niche, even being one of many. And you get to this NOME battle, and he was a NOME surprise battle last year on stage. It was him and Sheed versus Kid Slade and Authentic, and his pacing, his crowd control, he looked completely out of place up there on the big stage, but that can happen the first time you're on NOME. And now you get here with his second time on NOME, and it's a dud of a performance. And sadly, this battle is not about, you know, Franchise seizing the moment or Swervoo seizing the moment. It's more about Swervoo just kind of bottoming out and having like a really rough performance, while Franchise just did enough to win the battle. I'd say out of all of Franchise's recent, you know, resurgence-like performances, right? Because obviously he's had a very successful 2024 so far. The Hanzo battle I thought was a good look for him. The Eunice battle in the same spot that he just battled Swervoo, actually, on Monopoly 2 was an amazing showing. And then he gets a 30 over here over Swervoo. His first was actually really good. Clearly won that round. His second was not good. Franchise's second could have easily been beat, and Swervoo had a very good second, but he wraps himself into a choke. And then the third round of the battle, Franchise's third is a little better than his second, but once again, Swervoo wraps himself into a choke. So really just didn't give himself much of a chance here with this one. Tough, you know, I still believe in his talent. I still believe that he could be a very good piece of the URL roster, but to have 2 NOMEs in a row go like that, first with the pacing off, and then here with Memory, you know, there will be probably a little bit of reset in terms of plate's momentum, and I do think he has that ability to work back up, but this is the nature of the game, man. You know, sometimes you have a bad performance, you got to take 2 steps back to maybe earn your way back to where you were. So, you know, on top of that, crowd was not, I just gotten in after Swervoo's first, so I didn't get to watch his first live. I had to watch it on the playback. Wasn't that crazy of a round either way, but the crowd wasn't too engaged with it, which, not that good of a battle. I mean, like, you know, we're going to talk about the crowd and the Danny and TTop battle here in a second too, because a lot of critique for that, even for me being in the building, seeing a couple things that were funny. But I definitely think Franchise and Swervoo to open the night and not move the crowd, I think it says a little bit more about the battlers in that situation than it does the people, because people are ready to hear bars at an opening night. Anyone that's been to an event, you know the drill. But from there, you had Danny versus TTop from the first like battle of the main card, and this is one that I thought had a high floor. And maybe I was completely wrong by that, because for me it was the worst battle of the main card battles. But I thought, pros, two guys that are just rather consistent in general, especially with what TTop's done this year. And then Danny, of course, always brings 100% effort, whether you always love the execution or not. So I just figured, them on NOME, it'll be a solid matchup. And I can say I wasn't really rocking with this one too much from either side of the battle. The first round ends up starting on Danny Myers, and there's a lot of people I saw like being like, oh, so we're just not reacting for Danny at all. Don't get me wrong. I mean, it was very silent for a large portion of Danny Myers' first. I didn't think he was too crazy in the first either. Obviously, like a lot of rapid back-to-back rapping. We know his pace, the way he pushes it aggression-wise. But, kind of off-rip, he had an exhibit bar, which, I got to watch a little bit of a clip on the playback, which when you break it down, the shit was good. He was kind of scheming within it, but he just came out of the gate so fast. It was kind of hard for people to really, like, ease into the round, or, you know what I mean? It is almost just like, bloom. Like, so I don't know. I'm not going to say Danny's first was bad content-wise, but I've seen better Danny's overall, but especially from that round. And then TTop went, had him winning the first round. Thought he just out-punched a little bit. Like, he just had a little bit more content-wise. I didn't, I guess it's the clearest round of the battle, in a sense, but I didn't think TTop super elevated either. I just thought that he was solid, where Danny was kind of lacking in some areas. The second round of this battle, Danny is good, and once again, this time he didn't get too much reaction, but I thought he was on point in the second. I thought that was more what we were looking for. Rebutted a little bit. His first two were his third one was very good. TTop, his entire second, for the most part, is an angle about Danny Myers having sex with E-Hart. I feel like there should be some type of fine. Like, in the NBA, they fine people for certain technicals and flagrants, or some sort of disciplinary action for taking that type of angle. Because for a great year TTop has been having so far, that is the type of angle choice that had people talking about TTop very hostilely over the last few years. So did not like his second at all. Had Danny winning the second damn near by default. And the third, once again, not really the best from either. I thought they were both okay. Even TTop ends his round a little weird. Not really a choke, but just like ends it sloppy. But even then, I suppose I thought he had a little bit more in his third than Danny. Like I said, out of the main card, this was the most disappointing matchup of all. Had people yelling at the crowd. Had us a little worried in the building about the battlers. So I had TTop 2-1 first and third, but maybe you could say Danny second and third. Just not that crazy of a battle. And, there was a lot of, like I've been saying, there was a lot I saw online, like crowd talk. And it is kind of funny to see, particularly like behind the battlers, that first row of people, right around the back. When none of them are reacting, that's kind of crazy. Like, why, why be all the way up in the front row if you don't plan on just being fully engaged? And it's kind of the analogy I use is kind of like, you, like, don't go to a water park and be like, oh, I just don't want to get wet while I'm at the water park. Like, man, let loose, man. Have some fun. Look a little ridiculous. We're at a battle rap event. You know what I mean? So, but the good thing is that the next battle and everything up, I feel like there was a lot of engagement. I feel like everyone was locked in, and this is where the real, like, meat and potatoes of the event is. So you get Coffee versus Jazz next, which I don't know if the plan was to have them go third originally, but fantastic. If it was an audible, it was a fantastic audible. Jazz started off the battle. I thought Jazz had a pretty good first round, but it was kind of funny. Very punch-heavy first round for the most part. A couple angle punches early, but, she really was saving the tailored stuff for the next round, which we'll talk about. But I thought Jazz had, like, a good first, but a beatable first. It's hard, when you say a round's beatable, it comes with a negative connotation, but sometimes you get, like, a 7.5 out of 10 round. That's a pretty good round, but if someone elevates like they should for a NOME, they could beat it. That's exactly what Coffee did in the first. And I really think bar for bar, Coffee just walked down Jazz in the first. And have to say, this is probably, out of everyone in the night, the person who got the less reaction than what their performance deserved, I would say, is Coffee Brown. I thought her first was incredible. I thought it was a borderline elite round from her. And while we were cheering for the punches as they go, I don't think people were giving maybe the every bar reaction or damn near haymaker reaction she deserved for a good portion of that round, because I really feel like she just went bar for bar with Jazz and cleared her in the first. And then you get into the second round, and this is where Jazz is at her best. Career breakdown, style breakdown versus Coffee, talking about, one-syllable rhyme patterns, which I know, particularly when people critique Coffee, that's kind of one of the things they really get at her for. I mean, just a full breakdown all the way around. I love the angles that she chose, and I thought that it's exactly what you would want from Jazz in this situation. And it just felt like after Coffee had a great first, the bar was set even higher with what would end up being the round of the battle. But at that point, was the peak. And I thought Coffee even had a good second response. It's kind of funny. I think Coffee got some of the most love in the battle that she got was in her second. She had some angles of her own, kind of saying Jazz got some type of STDs and that she's out here fucking, what she named, like 10 different battlers, which is not, I just feel like you don't see people go at Jazz with those particular angles and kind of like the raunchiness of it. She executed it, I thought, pretty well. It is kind of tough because it's not as bad, but similar to the TTop second, like, you gotta do something like really next level if we're talking about who slept with who. It's already an angle I don't care too much about, so if you're gonna try to be so expose, kind of gotta really oversell it, right? But either way, I thought Jazz just set that bar too high. And then the third is what the battle comes down to. You're gonna hear me say that a lot because we had a lot of debatable battles from here on out. But crazy enough, while I thought Jazz was pretty good in her third, she ended with addressing the Wody situation, kind of like the ranks of it, why she didn't get Wody, and I thought stumbled a little bit at the end, nothing too crazy, but didn't end her around the craziest. And once again, while Coffee did not get a lot of reaction in the third, I just thought she nickel and dimed her, man. And listen, this is coming from someone that said I really could see this being most likely to be the 30 of the card. Like, I really thought that Jazz versus women, the angles that she could take versus Coffee, like, would really clear her out. But by the end, although I thought Coffee continued with some of those second round angles just a little bit, didn't like maybe all that content. She had an operation bar that was just nonsense. She was like, they're gonna be operating on an operating table, looking like they're playing Operation. I didn't know what that was. But a couple other bars, you go from a pop cherry to a split melon, like got no reaction. I thought that was crazy. I had Coffee edging the third round of the battle, man. Just thought she jabbed her way to a victory at the end. Super debatable third. Obviously, I could see Jazz 2-1 second and third, but got to give Coffee credit. Another battle where she's down versus a star talent, formidable star talent, and just finds a way. Performing through adversity with not as much crowd reaction as her op. The kind of the limitations she might have in her all-around game compared to Jazz, and maybe there's not as many limitations. Maybe every time we see these Geechis, we see these Jazz matchups, you know what I'm saying? We see all these. Maybe we just have to accept that Coffee can just really compete with any battle rapper on any given day. We're looking at really probably a Hall of Fame women's talent, and I feel like even if you call it Jazz 2-1, the fact it's as debatable as it is goes to show how far we've come with Coffee Brown. And while I didn't do like a biggest winners of the night, she would undoubtedly be one of my top 5 most impressive performers from NOME 14. Next couple battles of the night, and I might be getting it out of order from here, but I'm trying. Geechi versus Fonz, I believe, was actually, I'm a liar. Swamp versus Miss Hustle, I believe, was next. Pretty good battle, too. A battle that I said I wasn't too interested in coming in, but I thought overall it was the least of the good battles, but it was still a good battle. Like, I don't have complaints about it. And I thought it was pretty contested. And I'm not going to go bar for, I think the first 2 rounds are debatable. And I've seen a lot of people want to give it clear this way, give it clear this way. I think if you have Miss Hustle winning the battle, you have her winning the first 2 rounds. She punched very good the first 2 rounds. Didn't have to go angle heavy or anything. Just doing what she did really even versus Chess. Like, she's just landing good bars. She's just performing well. Play to your strengths in a matchup that's not like a grudge match. You have to go super over the top. Just wreck with another very good competitor. And I thought Swamp was pretty good too. I had some conversations debate with the battle. Some people thought, Swamp had like no content in the first 2 rounds. I disagree. I thought he performed well. I thought that he had a couple good bars in there. Is he the most, lyrically over the top? Was he penning the most creative punches? It's not always going to be that way, but I don't believe that it's always that way with Miss Hustle either. Some of her better bars, the battle, the kayaking bar, a couple of those swamp flips. Nobody was reinventing the wheel. I just thought it was solid work for those first 2 rounds. And I think you can edge it in a variety of different ways. I think you can go 2-0 Hustle, 2-0 Swamp, 1-1 with the rounds flip. Personally, gave Hustle the first round. I edged Swamp the second round of the battle. And then by the time you get to the third, it is the one clear round in my opinion. I think it was Hustle's weakest round. And I love Swamp's approaches and some of his peak bars. The 45 running with a felony, that trumps everything. That was crazy. The BBL ass backwards shit, like you were already thinking got a BBL that's hustling ass backwards. I thought that was crazy. He had a couple other big ones in the third. Just thought he was super efficient. Even with the shorter round, was Swamp's best round of the battle. I had him winning it 2-1, second edge, third clear. I see some people calling it clear. Like I said, I think there is a debate for Miss Hustle in those first two, but overall, solid work. I'm not too disappointed with either of their performances. From there, you get into the top three. These were the three that I thought would really give this card the stamp, along with Coffee and Jazz, of course. And I'm happy to say that they did. You get Geechi and Fonz. Another one, and to me, regardless of what the polls say of the battle, all that, besides Franchise and Swervoo, this is the clearest battle of the night. And I'm happy to say that once again, Fonz seized the moment, man. His first round is very good. I just feel like it was better than a Gotti, who was okay in the first, but you could tell a little bit lackadaisical, little stumbly. It wasn't crazy yet, but you could just tell the difference between a fully engaged Geechi Gotti and what you got in that first. So I thought Fonz pretty clearly got the first with just a good round. And then Fonz wrapped his second round. It is one of the best rounds of the night. He was wilding on Geechi in the second round of this battle. He had a Paul Bear's bar that was crazy. He had a couple different bars that was crazy, but my favorite one, the X-Men nerd I am. You guys have probably seen, I'm not wearing it right now, but you probably seen me wear the X-Men shirt here a million times. Keep the super crip in your thoughts like Professor X. Dog, I've heard a lot of Professor X, you know. I control minds. Like, we've heard a lot of those bars, but I thought that was super creative. And he just had a few of those that were super creative. And that's why, what we love about Fonz, right? The man is an elite level puncher. And in a world, once again, of many punchers, he's a top tier talent that is a puncher. You know, there's still levels within that. And Geechi's second response is good, man. His rebuttal to the tree, there was a tree bar used by Fonz, of course. Geechi had a crazy rebuttal, a couple crazy rebuttals to start his second addressing it. And then I thought I had a pretty good round. I don't think he matched Fonz's second. Like, I thought Wally had a good round, and he was able to kind of put it together, freestyle a little bit, and also have, like, some good content. But I just thought Fonz had too high of a bar, and I thought he was pretty clearly up 2-0 going into the third. I see some people even giving Fonz the third round of this battle. I wouldn't go as far to say that. I thought it was pretty close, but I thought Fonz kind of had a pretty short round. And, you know, just it wasn't, like, short just compared to the rest of the battle. Like, I thought, like, he just called time pretty early, and I thought Geechi just did enough where I was cool edging him that third. He was, once again, stumbling a little bit, but it's like, the little bit of stumbles compared to you maybe rapping, I can't put a time on it, I could be wrong, but it felt like damn near less than a 3-minute round from Fonz. So, personally, edge Geechi the third, but I see some people giving it to Fonz, and clearly gave Fonz the first 2 rounds of the battle. And listen, I said it when he beat Suge. The man's a top tier, in my opinion. We're talking about 4 gnomes. There's a SM, he'll probably be on his 3rd SM this year. He's beaten Shotgun Suge, beaten Geechi Gotti. He is a fight with Rum Nitty, you know what I'm saying, where I really think you could debate that he might have won the battle. He's beaten No Red. He's got one of the best battles of the year. It was battle of the year up until the main event of the night versus Chef Trez. The man has just done too much, in my opinion. winner. If you don't have Fonz as a top tier now, I just don't think that's something that you're going to plan on having in life, and that's okay. You know what I'm saying? I'm not asking you to like it, but I'm telling you to accept it. I mean, Fonz is at that level now, and I really just can't wait to see what he does with the rest of his year, because he's already been so impressive in the first half of 2024. And that leaves you with your final 2 battles of the night. Got to talk about Rock and Jerry next before we get to the main event. And I thought Rock and Jerry had another battle that really lived up to what it was supposed to be. I felt like Geechi and Fonz. Granted, there was a clear winner, but I was thoroughly entertained with the battle. Swamp and Hustle exceeded my expectations. Coffee and Jazz also met my expectations. So all these good things happening. And then you get Rock and Jerry. And listen, first round of the battle, Rock's pretty good, but it's beatable. And boy, did Jerry Wess beat it. You know what I mean? Like, incredible first round from Jerry. Something I said watching it, you know what I'm saying, Jerry is really as much of a puncher now as he is anything else. I mean, his game for the ever since he returned versus Lou Castro, and then from there, the Foots battle, then DNA, and now here versus Tay-Rock. I'm probably even forgetting a couple matchups in there. He just punches well. Like, he can really catch fire. And the first is really what he did. He didn't angle. He didn't do any he had a couple Fred bars, which I'm never a big fan of that, right? Thankfully, it wasn't that long. It didn't make him lose himself the round like most people do with that angle. But I just thought he went back to back with it and just beat Rock at his own game content wise. He had the mall bar was crazy, and then he had the joint. You're gonna wake up at a Lakers game and Kobe's playing. Disgusting. So Jerry clearly won the first. But what does Rock do? Respond. It's what the man's done his whole career. They don't call him second round Rock for nothing. and he just has just a super round, you know what I'm saying, in the second. And then the moment, maybe the bar of the event in terms of just how people reacted physically, like running around the building, is he had his own sound effect bar. He's like, throw Jerry in the oven, and then he played kind of like the Rock startup to his theme music, and it, you know, can you smell what the Rock is cooking? The whole way he put it together, for those that saw it, you know the super haymaker that it was, but it felt like it was already a great round, and then that just took it to the next level. And Jerry had a good second. He had good wrestling bars in his second, punched pretty good in the second again, but it just wasn't the same. There's really no other way to it. And I believe his sound effect, I don't know if it was in the third or the second, but Rock beat him to it. Kind of took the air out of it when he finally got to that bar. So Rock clearly took the second round of the battle. And for me, the third is pretty close once again. I think it is a debatable third round. Personally, edge Rock on the first watch. I thought Jerry, similar to kind of Coffee in her third versus Jazz, he was going back to back with it and wasn't getting maybe that love like for it. But I thought Jerry was mad consistent in his third with the jabs. I mean, I thought Rock might have had some more peak moments once again, kind of had those higher level haymakers, but you could really argue Jerry beat him on the punch count in that round, and his content is not that far off, if not matching it. So, you know, if someone's got Jerry 1 and 3, I'm not mad at it at all. I really feel like he showed up, he gave the performance he was supposed to, but I'm also a believer, especially with the momentum Rock has right now for Cody and everything, you know, the name that he already is to begin with. To be the champ, you got to beat the champ. It's what the man did versus DNA. Listen, I'm not going to be mad that Jerry didn't do what he did versus DNA versus Tay-Rock again. Still a mission accomplished for him, but if you're not going to go and clearly get 2 rounds of the battle, these guys at this level just do too many different things. They're too all around that if it's a debatable round, he's just doing a little bit more than you, in my opinion. I thought Rock was kind of out-rapping too, because we know how he is just as a pure rapper, and did what he had to do to edge out that third round. So I did have Tay-Rock 2-1, second clear, third by an edge, and once again, one of the better battles of the night. And that leaves us with Loaded Lux versus Rum Nitty. We already had a good card from right. We had the 2 battles didn't go great at first. We had nothing but a good run of battles since. And then Nitty versus Lux comes up. And like I said, I'm going to be doing the bar for this. So while I'm going to give my thoughts here, I've already given it 2 watches, but I'm going to have to give it 3 or 4 watches. We're going to have to go to the paper. We're going to have to write everything down. Rewind. Oh, I missed this little reference in this mini scheme. We got to do all that type of work before we do the full breakdown. But I still got to get my opinion on the battle. And first of all, in my opinion, watching it in person, I really feel like this is an instant classic. I see a lot of people online kind of share that same sentiment. I also saw a couple people saying might be the best battle since Chess versus Easy, which is, I feel like, some of the highest praise that you're going to get. And it's exactly what it's supposed to be. And you know why that is? It's because you took 2 guys that are absolutely incredible at writing at the highest level, and you just let them lean into that. I get it. It didn't have the dialogue. It's not as popular. They're not going to yell at each other in interviews as much, right? I get it, guys. It didn't meet some of your expectations in that. But that's why it can't always be based on some shit like that. Sometimes it's got to be about the fucking raps. And that's what the fuck Loaded Lux versus Rum Nitty was about. I couldn't be more happy with the outcome of the battle. I thought both of them were fantastic. For me, it almost easily might go into the top 5 performances of either of their careers. And, I'd have to do the math and break it down. But super impressed. And I'll just give you my round call here, right? We're not going to go too in on the bars because I plan on doing a whole own video for that. But I did give Rum Nitty the first round of the battle. Really watching it back, it's hard to call any of the rounds clear. We know kind of for the most part how the first 2 rounds went and how people are dividing them out, but I thought every round damn near in the playback was close. These guys were on 10. The rewind and find in this is over the top, but I gave Nitty the first round of the battle. Really liked Lux's first, but just this was the chain haymaker round for Nitty, right? Where it felt like every bar was landing like a bomb. In response, Lux's second is elite. It's really one of the best rounds I've seen Lux rap, especially in the modern era. He held like the same rhyme pattern, the same multi for over 5 minutes. I just don't think people appreciate just in pure rapping how like godlike that is. Like that is not a regular thing that people do. So I did have Loaded Lux winning the second, kind of inverse where I thought Nitty had a really good second too, but Lux was just a little bit higher than him. Then it comes down to a third where it was both angle based. Nitty kind of talked about Lux, not coming back and maybe helping the new generation as he claims to be or kind of portrays. Lux once again going at Nitty. Just really good angle choice. I thought from, you're always flipping names but can't flip no money. I thought the crew angle was really good. I didn't like the Walmart angles in the first like from Lux, but I thought second and third, he just hit on the right notes, all while rapping elite. And, you know, like I said with Nitty, I thought that to see him angle, like, I thought that that wouldn't be, I talked about in my video, that wouldn't be a path to victory, but his third is angle heavy, and it's the best angling I've ever seen Nitty do. I feel like it's super preference based on the third. You know, we're going to do the science and break it down. Me, personally, on first watch, I just preferred Nitty's angle a little bit. I like the way that he kind of approached Lux, talking about, you know, for all this preaching, if you actually ever pulled one of us to the side, knowing what we were going through in our careers, and gave us the advice we needed, the way he flipped it into the Rico bar with Surf, I personally edged Nitty the third round, right? And I give him the battle first, comfortable edge in a sense, right? And then in the third round of the battle by almost a preferential edge, right? But you know, this is just what I'm doing here for the recap, right? Kind of, I can't even say first thoughts. I have watched it twice, but do expect a very detailed breakdown of this battle. We're not just going to talk about it here for a couple minutes. You know, it's the type of battle that needs to be sat with for a while and really broken down to the core. Besides to just understand a winner, just to understand what they were even doing up there. I feel like there's some people that thought it was amazing, and they've only really caught 75% of what was going on stage. Instant battle of the year at the moment for me. I feel like, while, like I said before, while Trez and Fonz was holding that spot, Lux and Nitty comfortably take this. And Grant, unless someone else is going to have an all-time classic this year, which we rarely get to in a year, I would love it. But unless we see that, there's a very good chance we're looking at your 2024 battle of the year right now. It is just that good, and the perfect way to wrap up the night. An all-time classic in the main event slot. If we talk best no main events all time, it might be in that conversation, right? And I just feel like it's a fantastic look for both. But you gotta specifically talk about Lux, because I feel like there was people, which you didn't see it on this channel, because I kind of know what I'm talking about a little bit, but there was people talking about Lux is just gonna get killed and 30'd, and it's so dramatic, dog. Like, it's not something that happens in the man's career like that. Even when he lost to Geechi, it wasn't no 3-0, just body, whatever. Man lost 2-1. Maybe gentlemen's debate the first, but he had a good first. So I'm just saying, like, I thought people were being a little bit dramatic about the fall off of Lux, and I'm glad to see that in a matchup where he could lean into the writing, not worry about the angling, the optics, or this big, great dialogue, although he did have good angles, like I said. But when you can just lean into just being the rapper that you are, I feel like that's how you ended up seeing the best Lux. And then, of course, one of the best Nitties, you know what I'm saying, shows up for the situation as well. If Lux wants Hitman next, I'm with it. I'm so with it. I don't know where it's going to happen, what stage, wherever, whenever. Hand the man a blank check. You know what I'm saying? If he's going to be rapping like that, because I'm just so overly impressed. I've seen Nitty online throwing some shots. I think him and Verb were going back and forth. Hey, if they put together a card with Lux and Hitman, you throw Nitty and Verb on the undercard there, man, I'm not mad at that being the next moves for these guys. I feel like both of them should just keep competing at a top level. Big match guys that, you know, gave you one of the best, well-executed big match kind of god-tier battles that you're going to get. So all that talk about promo this and boring this, punchers can't this, loaded Lux won't, you know, actually get up for another writer, man. Shut y'all ass up, man. Shut y'all ass up and appreciate the classic battle. But that is my full, you know, kind of review here for NOME 14. Just talking about the battles up front, how I called it, and, you know, how I felt about stuff in the building. You know, really, really good shit. Also, saw Official vs. Vixen the day before. It should, I think, be dropping soon, but if it doesn't, might just go and, like, do a review for that as well. If you guys want to see an Official vs. Vixen bar-for-bar review, please let me know. I wouldn't be mad at doing that. And, of course, Loaded Lux vs. Rum Nitty bar-for-bar review will be coming out. If not tomorrow, I'm aiming for tomorrow, but should come out the day after. I ranked the event same as many others did, 8.5 out of 10. Really enjoyed it, but I'd love to hear how you guys called it, man. What were your battles of the night? You know, what were your takeaways? Who were your standout performers? I want to hear all opinions on NOME 14, and where do you think some of these battlers should go afterwards in a negative sense or a positive sense? What winners and what bigger battles should they get? And anyone that kind of took an L or you thought was rough, you know, where do they go from there? But it's been Jay Small Reviews again, y'all. Like, comment, subscribe, man. I'm going to catch you on the next one. Peace.